it's kind of more relevant, and it just has a bigger impact when it comes from a member. So it's their voice telling you, sharing their experience and sharing the reason why they value the membership, rather than us telling people why they should become members.
Welcome to the Stakeholder Impact Forum, a space where we explore how organisations are creating meaningful connections and driving positive change through collaboration and engagement. In this episode, we're joined by Michelle Newell from CharityComms, the UK's leading network for charity communicators, representing more than 16,000 professionals across the sector. Michelle shares how member engagement in the charity world has evolved, from the rise of digital events and the success of their mentoring scheme to the challenges and opportunities that come with new technology. We'll hear how member feedback is shaping the future of CharityComms, why demonstrating membership value is more important than ever, and how collaboration and community are helping communicators across the sector to thrive. So if you're interested in how charities are building stronger, more connected communities, this conversation is full of insight and inspiration.
Today, we're very lucky to be joined by Michelle Newell from CharityComms. I'm really excited to kind of get into the member side of things there and how they've moved past a lot of the kind of more traditional things with members and are finding new ways to engage them. So, Michelle, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It's lovely to chat today.
Fantastic. And yeah, I think kind of starting from there, it's because of charities and what we all think of with the public sector. Can you give us an idea of, what makes your members unique and what CharityComms kind of delivers to those members?
Yeah. So we have a community of over 16,000 charity communicators who work in the UK. And so they are people who work in charities themselves as teams, solo communicators who work in charities, but also freelancers who maybe work with charities and agencies who work with charities as well. And they work across all kind of types of causes. Specifically for us, we're obviously niche for communications. We were set up in 2007, and since then our real focus has been championing being champions of the value of charity communicators, connecting people together in that space to share expertise and experience, and also to share best practices, because there's a lot to share from each other and learn from each other, and that's one of the things we love, is that peer-to-peer sharing and networking.
Absolutely. And obviously that's what we're really kind of finding with this forum. And what's your background specifically really around the kind of what we call member engagement, but I suppose it's getting people talking is the crux of it.
Yeah, that's the key part. It's showing that part of that community is the value of membership, really, as well. So I've worked in membership organisations, I think, for about 10 years or so now, and all have been charities, some medical kind of charities, but the engagement and bringing people together in the community has always been at the heart of that. And obviously then developing those member services to help support that has been key as well.
And do you feel like, in your time and your experience in that kind of role, that things have changed quite a lot in how we now engage members, and what's been your experience with that?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because obviously that time spanned COVID, and so much changed in that way. So we moved away from traditional in-person networking, having a chat with someone for a cup of tea, to the more perhaps less natural online networking. So I think that over time there's been a lot of changes, but the crux of it is still the same, in that we're still trying to bring people together. We're still trying to encourage engagement. And I think no matter what membership organisation I've worked for, that's always been the priority and the key. And I think it's then just making sure that people feel part of something and part of that community, and that's been my job, is to try and deliver that.
And I suppose you've mostly worked in charity, but did you have any kind of experience around different membership bodies, and what's the kind of different aspect there between, what a charity delivers to members and what maybe a more business focused association or a trade association would deliver?
Yeah, I think that charities are obviously unique in how they're set up and how they're run. And everything is rooted in that serving the community or serving the members and delivering that charitable purpose. And obviously there's the structure for the charity commission being held to account by the charity commission, but also by the trustee boards and by the public and expectations around those. I think that generally those feelings of engagement and community are the same no matter where you work. It's probably just a slightly different set of circumstances in the charity sector, but I think in some ways that makes things more enjoyable because you're supporting people who are doing amazing jobs in the charity sector, or supporting those who support people who are doing amazing jobs in the charity sector.
So CharityComms, you're a member organisation for charity communication professionals. What have been the organisation's challenges in the recent years, and how have you gone about tackling those for your members?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think as a membership organisation, you kind of go through those changes and challenges with your members. So with the charity sector, obviously there was the cost of living crisis, an increase in demand for services, for charity services as well. And recently we've seen a significant restriction in resources available for charities. So it's taken into account those circumstances that you don't necessarily, or the members you support, have control over, and adapting and listening to them and what they need from you as their supporting organisation, and tailoring or developing services and going forward.
You mentioned previously, charities, they're delivering so much positive impact to society, but aren't particularly maybe as economically buoyant as business sectors. How has that kind of impacted your position as a member organisation that supports a sector that's perhaps less cash rich than others?
But I think it's tackling those challenges as a charity, and being able to support your members with the resources that you have. And we may not be, and a lot of membership organisations don't have a lot of resource. So it's really, like I said, listening to those challenges that our members are facing and using the resource that we have to adapt and to deliver what they need from us. So we always listen to member feedback. It's so important that we understand what's going on for members right now, so we can develop and deliver support or resources. A good example of that is our events. Our events team are brilliant at kind of getting into the nitty-gritty of what's happening right now for communicators, but specifically for charity communicators, and putting together an amazing agenda to then deliver an event that's relevant and timely for support.
Thank you for that. And talking about events, how is your events team kind of managing to deliver impact for your members in this more digital online world?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think it's something that everyone who runs events, membership organisation or non, has had to adapt to probably quite rapidly. But we at CharityComms, we found that in-person events model works really well for our members, because usually our events would have been in London. With COVID and the ways of working changing, we feel that now our events online, we can support more members. So we can support people who are based in Northern Ireland, such as I am, or Scotland, or anywhere, because that geography doesn't matter anymore. So you can join online. I think that's our events have been so successful because of the opportunity for networking. So we always have really good engagement on the chat, the questions, and we always have those breakout sessions that people can join if they're happy to, just to have a chat with peers. And that's kind of one of the things we really love about our events, in that a lot of our members are maybe they work by themselves, or they're part of a small team. So having the chance to chat to someone about a project or a challenge, or sharing a win, is often maybe the only chance they get to do that. So it kind of helps with some work loneliness at the same time. So that's a really nice thing we really love, and we always get really good feedback on our events, but also including that networking slot as well.
Thank you for that. And talking about events, how is your events team kind of managing to deliver impact for your members in this more digital online world?
So one of the examples that we can give for this, we're always interested in moving on. And obviously with resources as a charity, that's not always easy. We would love to do everything. But one of those examples might be that we have moved our mentoring scheme and changed that to an online platform. So previously it was our colleague had looked at 2 CVs and matched people physically together, which, as you can imagine, was a lot of work. But we listened to member feedback. Sometimes the turnaround on that wasn't always the quickest, and sometimes the matches didn't always work. So we developed an online platform, which the best way I can describe it is like a dating platform, where you can go and create a profile and find someone who you think would help. So this game is open to anyone can sign up to be a mentor, but we really wanted to keep it as a member benefit for organizations and individuals to sign up to be mentored, so as mentees. And there's lots of benefits for that, and as you can imagine, so the mentees get to share a problem or a challenge that they've been having to get some support with it. And the mentor can also develop their mentoring, coaching, managerial skills along the way. And I think that has been really helpful in building that community, because the mentors devote their time for free. There's no kind of formal reimbursement apart from a thank you. So that's been really nice to see that people are freely wanting to be involved in that. I can see the value in it. And I guess it's supporting future comms leaders as well. So that's why we see the value in that scheme and why we've been developing it over the last 1.5 years or so. So taking on feedback and making changes just to make sure it's what everyone needs and what everyone wants from that.
And then has the feedback kind of been overwhelmingly positive?
Yeah. So we always love feedback. Constructive is always helpful, especially technical. When you're launching something new, getting that feedback on that doesn't quite work is always really good. So we're very receptive to that kind of feedback. But I think that hearing the impact that it's had on mentees and mentors, I always love to get that email with the feedback form. So yeah, I think that we've heard things that people have been in mentoring matches for 1 session because that's all they needed and they were happy with that. Or our scheme lasts for 6 months and they stayed for the 6 months. But also that they've took part in our older scheme, which we had that person matching. And 5 years later, they're still friends. They still meet up for lunch. They still have those chats about things going on in their life and in their careers. So it's been really nice to hear that impact. And we held an event at the start of October. So it's a member networking event, but we like to have a topic to kind of focus people around. And it was about our mentoring scheme. And one of the really nice parts of that was that we invited a mentor and a mentee to chat, to put forward the impact that the scheme has had on them, to demonstrate that value for both mentees and mentors to those that attended. And the feedback that we got from that event was lovely because so many people value that. It just makes it more tangible, more, you can see the value and it's being demonstrated in front of you. So that was lovely to see that actually in person, people actually talking about it in that event.
And how can member organisations use feedback like that to kind of tell their story and showcase value to existing members?
Yeah, so it's a good question. I think is there's always a lot to do in the membership organisation, so usually it's absorbed by other things on your list that you want to achieve. But I think for this, and the reason why we decided to move to that digital platform was because of capacity. There were so many people who were interested in being part of the scheme, but we physically couldn't keep up with them all. So it's been a really beneficial, value added benefit for members in that now they can go and do that in their own time. They're not waiting for us. They can kind of go and take that into their own hands. And we now have the scheme's been open since January 2024, and we've had over 600 mentors and mentees sign up to be part of the scheme. So I think that kind of speaks for itself, but I also still love hearing the feedback. But yeah, like I said, there's always lots of other activities in a membership, and just trying to keep up with changes and with member feedback to be agile and adjust and provide that support that's needed at the time.
Absolutely. And you mentioned there, like for existing members, it's great, and the, the length of course. Are you seeing it kind of deliver results in terms of new members? And I'm thinking specifically, one of the things that keeps coming up in this forum is you have a traditional member base that maybe has been with you, the organizations have been with you for a while, attracting younger members, attracting more, kind of more digital age, whether that's organizations or individuals. Have you seen this kind of delivering results in that respect?
So it's really interesting, just because the nature of charity communicators and their work, we haven't really seen that generational divide. I think we try and remove those barriers where we can, by offering guidance and support along the way with things, and we always still have a person in place for support if anything crops up. But it's interesting in that we haven't really seen that generational divide, but I think moving things online at this time, post COVID, post everything, has kind of forced us all to do this. But it's been for the best for the team, but also for the members.
Absolutely. It's really interesting, and maybe different sectors are seeing different things. So that's a really, really fantastic insight. We kind of talked a little bit about it earlier, but delivering value and stuff. Can you think of any particular instances where you've really been able to pinpoint why and how your success story and the things that you're delivering well has actually resonated with your members?
So we always love to hear feedback. As I mentioned before, we always love that feedback from members to help develop our support for them, but also just so that we know that we're doing what they need us to do. So we really like sharing stories and testimonials and resources and promote our membership benefits, but also the work that we're doing in the sector across our platforms and channels. I think that it just provides it's kind of more relevant, and it just has a bigger impact when it comes from a member. So it's their voice telling you, sharing their experience and sharing the reason why they value the membership, rather than us telling people why they should become members. There's just more of a meaning behind it. So that's something that we love to do. And I think a good example of that again is our mentoring scheme. So last year we created a mentoring video to promote the scheme, and it was actually one of our corporate partners, so one of our agency members, that came forward and had offered to demonstrate their video skills on Riverside. So reached out to us with the opportunity, and again we then engaged with our mentors and mentees to ask them to speak and to share their experiences and the value that they got from the scheme. As a mentee and as a mentor, and what they could share and sharing their knowledge. And I think then that's kind of helped things grow organically, because we've had those testimonials in person on video for a range of mentees and mentors, and people feel inspired from hearing those and want to be involved as both mentees, mentors, to share and learn and to kind of grow that community together.
Fantastic. No, it's a really important scheme, and I think it's great that you're kind of showcasing the value of something that's been listened. You've listened to your members, you understand their needs. Are there kind of wider challenges you're seeing in terms of the whole CharityComms kind of approach and what you're delivering, in terms of, as we say, that kind of member engagement? And what would those specifically be?
Yeah, I think with a lot of with organizations, the challenges are probably quite similar. Just related to engagement, there's a lot going on around AI, and making sure that we kind of keep up with that is always quite tricky. I think as well, yeah, So we're kind of making sure that we keeping up, I guess, is a challenge, isn't it? Because things are moving so quickly. And just making sure that we're delivering the member need. So probably technology is one of the biggest challenges. AI, search algorithms, for example. So it's changing how people interact with information. And then us taking the time to understand those new behaviors and how we can kind of lean into that. So I think that that's kind of had an impact on our marketing and other resources that we can share. So that, I think that's probably true for a lot of organizations too.
Absolutely. And you mentioned resources there, and we touched earlier on a little bit about the kind of economic climate, specifically regarding charities. But one thing you kind of said about was, doing things that members, hearing what they say, hearing what they need. Are there any examples where you've kind of really taken a small change that makes a big difference for the members? I think really around that economic issue would be very interesting.
Yeah, I think it's, as I said, it's demonstrating that value of membership. So one of the things that we heard quite a lot from our members was that previously, as the mentoring scheme as an example, it wasn't open to all of our members. So our individual members who are freelancers who work with charities or solo communicators in charities, they didn't have access to the scheme. So we had got a couple of bits of feedback from members on that. And it was something that we could, when we looked into it, it was something we could do relatively easily. It didn't cost us any more resource so it was something that we implemented really successfully at the start of this year. And the feedback from that has been really nice. It's showed that we listen and we react to things, but we've also seen an increase in the numbers of people who are signed up to the mentoring scheme. And we've had lovely feedback from those individuals who had raised that they wanted to be involved.
And it's 12,000 members, isn't it? Is that individuals or organizations?
So we have a mixture. So we have around 900 memberships, but there are 16,000 contacts underneath those memberships. So, for example, an organization holds a membership, but we might have 30, 50, 100 people underneath that membership who work for that organization, who have access to the membership benefits.
It's such a big scope, isn't it, to engage that many people on a very specific thing. And aside from the kind of mentoring scheme, obviously, which, you have a detailed, that's got a reason, this is what we'll deliver for this. In terms of getting across that story of the benefits to that massive pool of people, have there been any other particular areas where you've felt really like, that one hit home, that one got across to our members, whether that's at CharityComms or as we say in your previous roles?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because we're undertaking a rebrand at the minute, and we've been in touch with members about kind of what they value about the membership. So there's lots of events, like I mentioned previously, that have been impactful and very timely. And also just the pulling together the community and to support those people who maybe are a bit lonely. And I think that then, offering that value for money and just making sure that you keep in and understand your members so that, you can continue being relevant. I guess that's the key, really, isn't it?
So you mentioned earlier the mentoring scheme and how it's building and it's growing. What are your goals for it in terms of the future, and what successes you feel it could deliver? You mentioned AI previously, etc. So I'm just interested to see kind of what the future could look like for such a scheme that's having success so far.
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's something we're always thinking about how to improve and to make the scheme relevant for everyone. And I guess it's really focusing on that member engagement, because that's the purpose, really, isn't it? To provide that support so people feel part of the community. So we're trying to grow our community. So it's really making sure people are aware of it, which is why we hold events to promote, because as much as you share your member benefits, not everyone is aware of them. So it's kind of making sure that we keep reiterating that it's there for you for support, to try and reach as many charity communicators as we can, and to demonstrate the value of the scheme, but also of the wider CharityComms and what we do and our membership. And I think it's thinking about, we could have plans to develop the scheme using AI now, and in a year it can be totally different, totally useless to what we develop now. So I think it's then probably thinking about what support we can provide for mentors and mentees as they go through the scheme. We do have resources, but is there some training that we could provide to help mentors manage their conversations? And there are some nice qualifications. There's some nice standards that we would like to meet. So the Scottish Mentoring Network has a really nice program of like affiliation almost with them, to say that your scheme has been approved and is brilliant and supportive. So I think that's one of our goals as well, is to get that recognition and that sort of stamp and seal of approval.
Fantastic. We really hope that all those things come true. So I suppose that's the goal of this forum, is to connect people in your position with ideas and learning. What types of things are you keen to learn? You know, you mentioned quite a lot there in terms of that, but really around what you deliver for CharityComms, what that could help you into that kind of the next 10 years of engagement for CharityComms.
Yeah, I think it's just keeping ahead, or not. No, maybe not. It's not possible, but keeping on time with things that are developing. So there's a lot to learn across sectors. And we've done that in the past, where we've worked with people from the public and the private sectors to speak at our events or to write blogs for us as well. So yeah, we really want to share knowledge and learning through different initiatives, and I guess that's why we really appreciated you inviting us to speak, so we can share what we know, but also so we can take some of that learning and apply it to what we do, and also to share it with our members and our wider audience.
Fantastic. I mean, you kind of already touched on it there, but my final question was going to be, you know, really what what can a forum such as this kind of deliver, and what's the reason behind, you know, ideas like a sharing community that could really help not just CharityComms but the membership sector as a whole, going forward for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I guess it's that we want to share the connections, and we want to share the learning that we have had in the third sector, because sometimes that third sector is underestimated, but we do have a lot to teach others. We also have a lot to learn, and how we can do that and share and learn with comms in mind. So yeah, I think it's learning and sharing and adapting and being relevant, I guess, is the most important things right now for us.
Absolutely. And perhaps we should rebrand it so it's not the third sector, because it kind of already puts it in that negative position, doesn't it? So maybe that's part of CharityComms' next goals, is how can we as a country rebrand that?
We can add it to the list.
Michelle, thank you so much. It was really interesting to hear all about the mentoring scheme and the kind of wider success stories that CharityComms is seeing with that. Thank you so much for taking your time, and look forward to hearing more in the future.
No, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting us to talk.